Good afternoon, everybody. Big Mike back here with you once again. Welcome back to Big Mike Talks. I hope you had a very festive Cinco de Mayo if you celebrated. But now it is Revenge of the 6th. Kidding, just kidding a little. And I'm going to review the rest of the week of pro wrestling. So that's going to be AEW Dynamite and WWE SmackDown. I honestly forgot about Collision this week. I do apologize for that. But I am going to cover this here now, starting with AEW Dynamite. We start off with an all-star 8-man tag team match playa. As we got Mark Briscoe teaming up with Speedball Mike Bailey, Kevin Knight, and Kenny by God Omega to take on Kazuchika Okada, Ricochet, and the Young Bucks. Yeah, the Elite on two different sides. Never thought I'd see the day. I'm not going over absolutely everything that happened here, but I'm just going to go through the highlights. One of which we saw Matthew Jackson do a couple crazy looking arm wringers over the top rope on his opponents. And then he was about to do it to Kenny, but Kenny handed it off Matthew's Nicholas's hand, and he did the arm wringers to him, which that was hilarious. That was so good. Mike Bailey and Mark Briscoe had a little back-to-back moment where they hit a couple of crane kicks, which that was awesome as heck. Kind of near the end of the match, Mark Briscoe goes for the J Driller. That gets countered by Ricochet, who then hits a gnarly looking neck breaker. Everyone comes in, gets their stuff in a little. And then that leads to an Omega Okada face-off, and they just start beating the heck out of each other. Omega goes for the electric chair driver that gets blocked into a big old suplex. Okada attempts the V-trigger, but that gets blocked. And Omega just takes a drop kick. Okada attempts the Rainmaker, but that whiffs. Omega then eats a couple super kicks. A big old DDT from Kevin Knight. A couple of body slams. A double Meltzer driver, which was pretty neat. Only gets a 2 count. Young Bucks go for the EVP trigger, but that misses. Low bridge by the baby faces. Okada attempts the Rainmaker again, but that gets blocked into a J Driller for only a 2 count. Then Okada runs a little wild for a bit. Mark Briscoe with a Death Valley driver attempts the Froggy Bow, but Ricochet then pushes him off back into the ring, off the top rope, back into the ring. Okada with a Rainmaker for the win for his crew. So, yeah, that was a very, very fun opening matchup. I am happy these guys got all the time in the world. And I'm excited to see where this feud goes. So next up, we see the Hurt Syndicate in the back. It looks like they're just arriving. And they run into some fans. Let's call them that. They're pretty much plants. Where they're just chanting, "We are people! We are people!" Very annoyingly. MVP turns to them and says, "You know what's way more fun than just chanting it? Doing it." So then he sicks Lashley and Shelton Benjamin on him, which I don't think I've seen something like that in a while. Then Lashley, Benjamin, and MVP go back to their conversation, saying with MVP saying, "Look, we can capitalize on MJF. He's funny, and I know you liked that car he gave you. MJF can be beneficial to us, and if he steps out of line once, we can hurt him." I feel like we've heard all this before. It doesn't feel like we're getting any traction with this storyline. It kind of feels like it's spinning in place until Cedric Alexander gets here. So we go into our next match, and it's trios action. We have the Ops, the current trios champions. So it's Samoa Joe, Powerhouse Hobbs, and Katsuyori Shibata taking on a team of enhancement talent. That's Red Titus with a weird-looking short haircut. Nick Camarado, who we haven't seen in feels like years. And it feels like some dude they pulled off the street somewhere. Sorry to that last guy. Joe starts it off and just starts beating the heck out of Red Titus. Tags in Shibata, continues the big beatdown. Red Titus eventually does break out, tags in Hawkins, I believe his name is. And he just eats a big couple knees from Shibata. Hobbs is then tagged in. Hawkins goes for a splash, but that gets pretty much countered into a power slam, a couple of clotheslines, and a big old spine buster to pick up the win for the Ops. I was kind of hoping we'd see more of a storyline for the current trios champions, but I am not super mad at it, because then post-match, Wheeler Yuta comes out, goes to attack Joe. Joe has him on the back of the head, ready to just destroy him. Then out comes the rest of the Death Riders to even the odds. The Ops eventually fight back. Joe locks Yuta in a Coquina clutch on the outside, but then Claudio, who has since turned over a chair, so legs up, hits a Ricola bomb onto Shibata on the turned up chair. So Joe releases the hold on Yuta, charges into the ring, and the Death Riders bail to the outside. So then Joe gets a mic from the ringside attendant, says, "Mox, seems to me like Mox just wants to play boss. But when we fight, he acts like a little bitch. I came out here and begged for me one-on-one. But you don't really want that. I'll give you what you want. In 2 weeks, we're going to fight for the AEW World Title. And Mox, you absolute coward. Let's do it inside of a steel cage." I love we are saving stuff like cage matches for big blow-off angles. I do wish this was on pay-per-view, but I do understand where we're going with that. More than likely, Will Ospreay winning the AEW title. So, yeah. Joe versus Mox for the AEW title. I'm happy. So next up, we get a Mercedes Moné sit-down interview with Renee Paquette, which I kind of miss the sit-down interviews. They used to be so personal and interesting. Now it's just kind of, eh. Anyway, so Moné says, "I've been on a global mission since I got here. I am now a globally recognized champion. And now I am going to go about honoring the legacy of Owen, but it also about cementing my own legacy. I've been in AEW for more than a year. I can talk about all of my records. I am the best, very best women in AEW. because AEW runs on Monet time. And while Hayter is really, really good at what she does, she has terrible style. Commenting on her look, which, Monet, it's 2025. Let's leave that stuff in the past, huh? So that was a nice little sit-down interview. We go from that to a standing backstage interview with the Patriarchy, in which it was initially an interview with Nick Wayne, but Christian Cage takes it over because, he's the patriarch of the Patriarchy. So he says, as leader, all questions led to Jay. And before he can continue, Jay Lethal walks in. He's looking pretty dang good. He says, I'm here to talk to the champion. You're incredible in the ring, but you still got a lot to prove. So how about this? Me versus you, the longest reigning television champion versus the youngest television title champion tonight. So Nick Wayne then tries to make some excuses. I'm not prepared to wrestle. I don't have my gear. Cage then puts his hand on Nick Wayne's shoulder, leans in, he accepts, and he walks off. Jay Lethal walks off. Cage then kind of gets into Nick Wayne's face, says, you want to be a champion? You got to get your head in the game. Which, very, very, very interesting interaction between Nick Wayne and Christian Cage. I got a funny feeling we're headed for a breakup. If that does include Killswitch, if you remember Luchasaurus, I guess we'll see. We then get a very nice Miyu Yamashita hype video, recapping her time, not just in Stardom, but her recent time in AEW, beating Jamie Hayter in a qualifying match for the AEW title, but then losing on the next pay-per-view, which, great to see her AEW explaining her history within the company. That's great. I am loving AEW doing this. So next up, we got Timeless Toni Storm taking on Miyu Yamashita in a non-title contest in which if Yamashita wins, she gets a future title shot. And before the match, as the bell rings for the match, Miyu extends her hand. Toni Storm shakes it. That's great to see a little honor within the women. And this match, I think, was my favorite match of the week. Like, the action was so crisp, so good. These two have some great old chemistry. At one point on the outside, Yamashita was just kicking the you-know-what out of Toni Storm ringside. Then Luther comes in, breaks it up, saves Toni Storm for a moment, eats a kick himself. Then Yamashita rolls Toni Storm back up to the inside, continues the assault, goes for a suplex. That gets blocked into a couple of kicks. Eventually, she does get the suplex. Toni Storm attempts a hip attack, but that gets blocked. Miyu hits a skull kick, which is her finisher, but that only gets a 2. Toni Storm follows up with a sky high for a 2 count. Attempts the Storm Zero, but that gets blocked into a Death Valley Driver kick combination. Then Toni follows it up with a suplex, a hip attack in the corner, and a Storm Zero to pick up the win. Like I said, I think this was my favorite match overall this week. These two worked really, really good together, and I want to see some more. Like, I want to see a little bit more between these two. But before that can happen, out comes Mercedes Moné saying, Tony, it's great to see you, darling. After I win the Owen, I'm coming after the AEW World Women's title. And you're going to ride the Moné train. But before anything more can happen, out comes Jamie Hayter. And she brawls with Moné for a bit. She attempts the Haterade, but Moné gets out of it and heads to the back. So yeah, a lot of interesting moving pieces here, and that is what I like about AEW. It definitely felt that way originally, and now we're kind of getting back there, which is always good. Then we have a Don Callis family promo in the back, with Don taking the lead, saying, I love making history. My family made history last week when they put down Ospreay and Brody King. Make more history this week with Fletcher dismantling Hangman. And then we're going to put to rest Will Ospreay. After that, Kyle Fletcher takes over and says, after I beat Hangman and Ospreay, I'm taking the AEW title. And you're all going to say my full name, which Don Callis does, which is very strange. We then go to the most repetitive thing on the show. A Hurt Syndicate promo. And I'll say why in a sec. So, and MVP gets on mic, says, we've been discussing adding a fourth member to our ranks. And if a prospect receives 3 thumbs up, so we're going to try this one more time. MJF, come out here. So MJF comes out. He gets right in the ring. Says, I tell you, MVP, you look great. You know our history. You're a living legend. Shelton Benjamin, I got nothing but respect for you. And then this is Bob. I love that MJF has that disrespect for Lashley just by calling him Bob. It is subtle, yet it is so good. So, Bob, you have a good ride that night? So Lashley starts to get into the face of MJF. MVP's like, whoa, 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 whoa. Pulls him back. So why don't we do this? Let's get this underway. You obviously know how I vote. MVP, thumbs up. Shelton Benjamin, he kind of starts in the middle, but eventually he does give the thumbs up. Lashley, he kind of teases a bit one way. He kind of goes up for a second. He kind of goes down. Then he goes back up for a second until he hits the nail in the coffin. Thumbs down. So MVP gets right back into Bobby Lashley's face, saying, I'm absolutely sick of your shit. What do you want? I've helped you retain your tag team titles. How about I go out and get you some Rogaine? Lashley then dumps his title to the side, grabs MJF by the collar, pushes him in the corner. Looks like he's about to just beat him down. So Benjamin and MVP kind of start pulling Lashley off. Lashley then is like, yeah, I'm good. Then he gets into MVP's ear, says, I want you to hurt somebody. So, yeah, that's... I'm going to say this. We've definitely seen this segment a couple times before. But there is definitely something to like about it. We finally know what it's going to take for Bobby Lashley to accept MJF into the Hurt Syndicate. But I just wish we could do this a little bit differently. Like, what if we give the Hurt Syndicate, like, their own locker room? Or put them in some office somewhere to do this. I feel like I change it up a little bit. Because these in-ring segments are feeling very repetitive. So next we have highlights of FTRs going on, including their new alliance with Stokely Hathaway, which is very interesting. So next up, we got our ROH TV title match as Nick Wayne takes on Jay Lethal. I've missed seeing Jay Lethal wrestle. Like, I know a lot of people are like, he's a little overrated. He's been one of my favorites for years, since I started watching him as Black Machismo back in TNA. Or his second run in Ring of Honor before Tony Khan bought it. He's seriously an underrated dude, and he really brought it to Nick Wayne tonight. Although Nick Wayne wasn't alone, because during his entrance, the Patriarchy music started playing, and Cage, Kip Sabian, and his mama all come out and join him ringside, which, that's kind of interesting. So Jay Lethal, right as the match starts, goes for the Code of Honor, in which, if you don't know, Ring of Honor's matches always usually start with a handshake, which is like, Code of Honor, we're not going to do anything devious, yada yada yada. There are characters who don't do that. I know Rush didn't. And then, of course, there's Fights Without Honor, which are pretty much no DQ matches, which are always fun. So I like Tony Khan kept this in the annals of Ring of Honor. This match was a whole lot of fun. I liked how these two complemented each other in the ring. Like, Jay Lethal, he's not doing that much high flying anymore, which is fine. But Nick Wayne really brought the energy. And yeah, Jay Lethal doing what he always does. So near the end, Lethal goes for the lethal injection, which I am always surprised when he pulls off. That gets blocked into a roll-up, only for 2. Nick Wayne with a drop toe hold into a drop kick, into a brain buster to pick up the win. So, nice little matchup. Nothing really to write home about, but it was very, very entertaining. Here's where it gets interesting, because Cage takes the ROH television title, has it over his shoulder. He tells Nick Wayne, turn around. So he faces the camera. Christian Cage puts it along his waist, snaps it in. So, yeah, that's a nice little moment for Nick Wayne. Although it does sow some seeds, a couple more seeds of maybe Christian Cage maybe kicking out Nick Wayne from the Patriarchy. I'm not sure. We then get the match made official for 2 weeks. We got Mox versus Joe for the AEW title inside a steel cage. Then we got a pretty awesome Double or Nothing hype video, which, again, I'm happy AEW does these now. It adds to the excitement for the shows. Speaking of the excitement for the shows, it is now time. Is this a main event? It's time for the Dynamite main event, and it is the final semi-final match for the Owen Hart men's tournament, as we got Kyle Fletcher taking on Hangman Adam Page. And good lord, these two brought it. Like, I never knew I wanted this match until it was pretty much finalized a couple weeks ago. This match absolutely ruled. These two guys have some great, awesome chemistry. We have a couple of times, Hangman Page goes for the buckshot lariat, but Kyle Fletcher had enough attention to either counter it or roll out of the ring. Kyle Fletcher with a big pile driver on the apron gets Hangman back in, hits a big old superplex. Hangman hits a pop-up powerbomb, only for a 2. Attempts the Deadeye, that gets blocked. Kyle Fletcher attempts the pile driver again, that gets blocked. Hangman then with the Deadeye for a 2 count. He attempts the moonsault, but Kyle Fletcher gets his knees up. Nick Wayne with the brainbuster attempt again. That gets blocked into a roll-up for a 2 count. Hangman goes for the buckshot lariat, but that gets blocked with a big kick. Fletcher attempts the brainbuster again. That gets blocked with Hangman hitting a Deadeye on the apron, then hits a moonsault to the outside, gets Fletcher back in, goes for a buckshot lariat, but at that point, Don Callis gets on the apron. He's distracting the ref. Hangman full sends it. Kyle Fletcher with a low blow. He then hits the brainbuster. At that point, I thought this match was done, but Hangman kicks out. Kyle Fletcher attempts the brainbuster in the corner on the turnbuckle. That gets blocked by Hangman. Hits a couple of clotheslines. Hits a top rope buckshot lariat, in which the coordination to do that is impressive enough. Then gets on the apron. It's a traditional buckshot lariat to pick up the win and move on to not Double or Nothing, to, it might be Double or Nothing, to face Will Ospreay to see who goes on to All In to face the AEW World Champion, whomever that may be. So, this was a fun AEW Dynamite. The only thing that I really, really didn't like was the repeat promo from the Hurt Syndicate MJF in-ring segment. That needs to be mixed up a little bit. So, that was AEW Dynamite. We now get into WWE SmackDown, where we see Priest. He's walking around backstage. He then sees Jacob Fatu and Solo Sikoa. He gets into it a little bit with them. Starts arguing with them, which that's funny. Then LA Knight passes the scene. Goes to the ring for a big promo, saying, 1 week ago, I stepped in the ring and I wanted my rematch for the United States title. Did I get it? Instead, I got told I'm getting a number 1 contenders match. Are you saying I don't deserve the rematch? And yes, as you saw, the match didn't go my way, but only because Solo attacked me. And then you had Fatu out here dropping moonsaults like a madman. And while Priest did help me, I got no problem with you. I got to... And before he continue, out comes Damian Priest himself. He gets right in the ring, grabs a microphone, says, Knight, you're absolutely right. We are all cool. But not for Drew. I was all ready to move on. I was ready to shut him up and knock your name out his mouth. LA Knight then replied, well, you picked the wrong time to do that. Priest then replies, well, Solo spiked you, and I was saving you from a claymore from Drew. Knight then replied, Drew, you're leaving in the past, Priest. Drew beat you. You don't pin that on me. Don't let your failures be my problem. Priest then replies, well, you lost your title to Jacob Fatu, Knight then replies, "I don't need reminding of that. I've come back to fight for it. I'm not wrestling for the title because of you." Priest then replies, "All your frustrations are your own fault. And while we don't have a problem right now, I'm worried about me beating you tonight. So why wait? Let's get a ref in here right now." Ref comes out. We start this match, which was supposed to be for later on in the evening, but it's for right now as we get Damian Priest versus LA Knight. And they go a little tit for tat. Early on, Knight goes for the BFT. That gets blocked by Priest, who attempts his old school, which is a neckbreaker, I want to say. But that gets blocked by Knight, who hits a big old body slam on him. Hits the leg sweep into a neckbreaker for a 2 count. Priest then attempts a South of Heaven. That gets blocked. Knight with a big old clothesline for a 2. Priest attempts a Razor's Edge, but that gets blocked by Knight, who hits a big knee, a DDT, and a Mega Star elbow drop for a 2 count. Knight attempts a superplex, that gets blocked with a couple of headbutts, and then a bell ringer, which is Priest clapping the ears of LA Knight. Priest with a broken arrow from the middle rope. And he hits a superplex for a 2 count. Knight with a clothesline over the top rope. He attempts the baseball slide. That misses. And then Priest with a flatliner on the apron. And of course, this brings out Solo Sikoa, who attacks Priest. The bell rings, and they just start all brawling. Solo has Knight in the ring, goes for the Samoan spike, but Priest stops him. LA Knight with a BFT. Priest and Knight then have a little stare down. Priest goes to the outside, sets up the announce table, goes for the South of Heaven into the table, but out comes Jacob Fatu, who just dives on everybody. Knight with a baseball slide that gets caught. Fatu with a big old Samoan drop onto the announce table. Hip attack to Priest in the on the barricade on the outside. And then Jacob, he takes one look at Solo Sikoa, collects him, and then they all leave. So, yeah, that was, I'm getting tired of this repetitive stuff. Like, these guys haven't had a single clean win between them since, like, WrestleMania. Like, hey, it always feels like some version of the Bloodline is interfering in a match between these guys. Let's have them have a clean match already. Anyway, so then we go to highlights from Fraxium's SmackDown debut tag match, which I am so sorry I missed that, but I needed a breather. So then we go to a Fraxium interview. They're in the back in some hallway with Nathan Frazier saying, "Yeah, we're excited. We turned the NXT tag division on its head. We're about to do the same thing on SmackDown." And before Axiom can get a word in comes Pretty Deadly, who says, "We're glad you want to face the best. We're going to remind you who the tastiest team is. And we're going to knock it down." Axiom then gets a little time to speak, says, "Remember, the opportunities are earned. You're going to find out if you're good. So be careful what you wish for." Which then gets us into our next match. We have Pretty Deadly taking on Fraxium. And this match was a whole lot of fun. A lot of great tag combinations. Although, I am definitely going to say this. Nathan Frazier, you need to slow down a little bit. Because there were points where... there was at one point, Frazier did like a standing shooting star press. And clearly his knee landed on Kit Wilson's chin. And that got busted open. Well, I don't know if it was his chin or his lip, but he was bleeding. I am very surprised we finished this match with a Spanish Fly Phoenix Splash combination from Fraxium. I do hope we see these two get a tag title shot at one point. Them versus the Street Profits would be pretty nuts. Heck, them versus the Motor City Machine Guns. I mean, the Guns pretty much popularized the style Fraxium now uses. Just give it a minute. So next we see B-Fab and Michin, in which I am surprised they didn't get cut. Oh, also, during SmackDown, there were more than a few WWE releases, including Braun Strowman of all people, which is very weird. Anyway, so B-Fab and Michin want some shots at the tag team titles, in which Liv Morgan isn't around now because she's filming a movie. So in walk Chelsea Green and the Secret Hervis. They're all dressed all in black. With Green complaining to Aldis, saying, "My title was hijacked by Selena Vega. It's typical collusion. Don't make me take you to court." Nick Aldis starts walking away. Green's like, kind of taps on his shoulder. "I want you to give me a recount." Then it's announced by Nick Aldis that tonight Vega is going to go one-on-one with Piper Niven, and if Niven wins, she gets a future Women's United States title shot. So, definitely creating some narratives within the women's mid-card division, which is always nice. Then we get this, honestly, highlight I kind of forgot about. We got John Cena versus Randy Orton from TLC 2013. This was for the unified WWE World Heavyweight title. And it's the original big gold belt design. And while the highlights did look really good and made me think, maybe this feud wasn't so bad. A lot of that afterwards was pretty horrible. So, we're in for some interesting stuff on Backlash. So then we go to a Nia Jackson ring promo. She says, "Thanks, guys. It sounds like you really missed me," which got big old boos. Nia continues, "I'm really happy to be back. And while I was gone, I was home getting refocused to take what is rightfully mine, the WWE." And before she can get another word out comes the champ herself, Tiffany Stratton. Stratton then cuts her own promo saying, "Let me guess, you were about to say you were going to take the title from me? Well, I'm not the same person I was when I cashed in on you. It was the best thing that had happened in my career. You really want to lock up again? I beat you." Nia then kind of looks inquisitively saying, "Are you offering me a rematch?" Stratton then replies, "I've been here long enough to know I don't make the matches, but I also don't step down for a fight." So out then comes Naomi, which is very interesting. who starts out saying, looky here. It's funny to see the two of you fighting. Tiffany, you were always the woman to help her. You two made my life a living hell. Well, now I've changed. I'm not the good girl anymore. And while you let Jade walk all over her, may have ruined everything for me. But I'm not done going after gold. I'm not just going to put you in front of the car. I'm going to put you under it. And before Naomi can say any more, out comes Jade Cargill, and they all brawl. So this brings out General Manager Nick Aldis, saying, well, it's so good to see all of you eager to fight. So tonight, in our main event, we're going to get a tag team match player. And yes, Nick Aldis finally pulling out a Teddy Long, which it's about time. So it's going to be Naomi teaming with Nia Jax to take on Tiffany Stratton and Jade Cargill. So that is going to be very interesting. So then we get a video recap of Aleister Black's return against The Miz. Then we see The Miz and Carmelo Hayes in the back saying, I'm going to show Aleister tonight. I'm one of the pillars of this industry. I've outlasted so many people by staying here. I've outlasted Next Big Things, the flavors of the month. He says, the spotlight is on you tonight, and you're going to remind everyone who you are. Miz says, Aleister wants to make a statement, not on my name. So then we go to this next match. We got The Miz taking on Aleister Black. Bell rings. Miz runs right in. Aleister Black attempts the Black Mass. And Miz just kind of falls back out of the way of it. Which, that was honestly funny. Aleister goes to beat up The Miz a little bit more. The ref kind of backs him off. And they have a decent little TV match. Aleister pulling off an AJ Styles springboard reverse DDT, which is always fun. Only for a 2 count. Looked like a couple of kicks got Miz bell rung. Miz attempts a skull crushing finale that gets blocked into a knee and a Black Mass attempt. But Carmelo Hayes gets up on the apron that distracts Aleister long enough for Miz to recover. Hit a roll up only for a 2. Aleister then with a Black Mass for the 1, 2, 3. And as Carmelo Hayes slides in the ring, Aleister sits down Indian style, and they have a little face-off. I am so down for a Aleister Black, Carmelo Hayes, honestly, series of matches. So, Hayes collects The Miz, and they leave, as Aleister celebrates. Again, a fun little TV match. I was kind of hoping this match would go like seconds. But, honestly, The Miz showed me something out there. He's definitely turning it around, which is cool. So then we see Rey Fenix. He's a little frustrated in the back. In comes Santos Escobar, who says, I tell you what I saw. I saw true disappointment when you lost to El Grande Americano. You're an embarrassment to Lucha Libre. And while Mysterio did pick you as his replacement at WrestleMania, and you blew it. And now, with Mysterio out of the picture, I'm going to be the one to take his place. So Rey Fenix then pushes Santos over, says, stay out of my business. The only luchador in the world I trust is my brother. I'll see you tonight. So, we're going to get that match a little bit later. Next up is a pseudo number one contenders match between Zelina Vega and Piper Niven. And Niven definitely overpowers Vega for a little bit. Vega then counters it with a big old Hurricane Rana. Piper Niven with a big old airplane spin kick combination. Piper attempts a big power slam. Vega slips out the back, hitting a code breaker. Goes for a knee strike. And Piper counters it with a Uranagi. Goes for a big splash in the corner that misses into a big slap. Attempts a superplex, but that gets blocked into a Meteora for a 2. Vega attempts a Code Red that gets blocked right into a Bossman Slam from Niven. That only gets a 2. Niven attempts a Cannonball that misses. Vega with double knees in the corner. Piper Niven attempts a Body Slam again that gets blocked into a DDT. Vega with a beautiful moonsault only for a 2 count. Attempts the Code Red from the middle rope that gets blocked into a powerbomb. Vega with a Rana. Goes for a 619, but Green is up on the apron on the opposite side. Vega with an elbow to Green. Actually, Piper gets up, accidentally hits Chelsea Green off the apron. Vega with a roll-up for a surprise win. So, that was a pretty entertaining TV match. I do wish it was given a tad bit more time. So next we see Nick Aldis. He's talking to Solo Sikoa and Jacob Fatu. And he's saying, 2 weeks in a row, you have ruined these matches. You have interfered. Solo's then like, boss, this isn't our fault. Aldis then lays down the law, saying, well, tonight was your last warning. At Backlash, Jacob, you're defending your title in a triple threat match against Damian Priest and LA Knight. So then Solo tries to negotiate, saying, well, Drew is obviously the current number one contender. It's unfair to leave him off and take his spot away. Nick Aldis then says, alright, let's make it a fatal 4-way match. Jacob Fatu then takes off his mask thing, saying, no matter who you put in front of me, I'll dog walk him. And I know you're trying to do you, but I know who you are. Then we get a nice rundown of the Backlash card, which, honestly, I could be less excited for. Wait for my predictions for it for tomorrow. So then we get a Randy Orton in-ring promo, where he pretty much says exactly what he said last week, saying, we're only 2 hours in. John Cena, you say the world couldn't see you. I could. It took everyone here 20 years to see what kind of man John Cena is. He's arrogant, selfish. Cena is the ultimate shiny new toy, played with by the puppet master. Oh, I wonder who he's referencing there. Hold on. Randy continues, you took full control of the PG era. You became a walking, talking cartoon character. And while I remained my true self, all he cares about is his bottom line, which brought him into the mainstream, got him new merchandise every single week, and he made sure you loved him more than you really do. And the reason why he never raised a family is he was raising yours. your kids. He continued to raise the prices of his merch. Cena, selling your soul is not a new concept for you. You've been doing so for 20 years. Loyalty and respect, John. Last week, you were going to erase Randy Orton's name from history. You say you're the last real champion. No, you're the latest legend I need to put down. And in front of everyone in St. Louis, I'll punch you so hard your head is gonna fly through the gateway arch. And then before that, I'm gonna drop you with the 3 most dangerous letters in all of pro wrestling: RKO. Like I said, nothing new is pushed forward here, and it doesn't help that Cena's on wherever the hell he is. Obviously not his main job. But whatever. It was a pretty dang good promo. Just very, very repetitive. So next we see Naomi. She's in her dressing room, getting ready. Nia walks in, saying, "My eyes are on gold. We need to figure it out tonight. We need to take out Jade and we'll be good for sure. What do you say?" Naomi just takes one look at her, says, "Sure," and just walks off. So, yeah, that's going to be a very interesting combination a little later tonight. So next we have Randy Orton. He's walking in the back, and he runs into John Cena's number 1 fan, R-Truth. Where Truth says, at Backlash, Cena is going to beat Randy Orton. I feel it. He's my childhood hero, blah, blah, blah. Jamie Uso then walks in saying, "Look, Orton, you can go. I got you." Then Truth yells after Orton, "I mean what I say." Jimmy then kind of puts his hand on R-Truth's chest saying, "Dude, if you don't stop, he's going to beat you up." Then Truth says, "He told me so himself. Cena is the last real world champion." And then walks off. Is Truth about to join John Cena? Is he about to cost Randy Orton? I guess we'll see. So next up, we get a little lucha, as we got Rey Fenix taking on Santos Escobar. And honestly, this match did start off a little slow, but the lucha came quickly, like very quickly. At one point, you have Rey Fenix attempting his rope walk arm drag. Santos pushes him off the top rope, follows him with a dive, gets back in the ring. Santos attempts a shoulder tackle that misses. Rey Fenix with a senton for a 2 count. Santos then locks in a nerve hold, in which I haven't seen him do that yet. Rey Fenix eventually fights out, goes for a big splash that misses. Santos with a moonsault for a 2 count. Rey Fenix with a rewind kick for 2. Whiffs on a clothesline, eats a couple of kicks from Santos. Fenix with an enziguri. Attempts a cutter that gets caught into a Death Valley driver kick combination. Rey Fenix goes for a knee strike that gets blocked into a couple of kicks. A knee. And then what I thought was a phantom driver, but that only gets a 2 count. Santos goes for a Death Valley driver that gets blocked into a drop kick. Rey Fenix with his rope rock kick into a Meteora to pick up the win. So, yeah, that was a fun little palate cleanser match. Nothing really significant, but that's fine. But, yeah, again, fun little Lucha Libre match. Then we get a Jade Cargill, Tiffany Stratton interview with Stratton saying, look, we get it. If I were Nia, I wouldn't like this either. But Jade, you need to stay out of my way. Jade then replies, man, I thought I was done with Naomi. But next week, I get to face Nia Jax in the number 1 contenders match for your women's title. So I'll see you there. Jade and Nia, huh? Alright. Then we get highlights from the past week's main event, which was for the WWE Tag Team titles in a TLC match, which I've seen highlights of that. That shit looked fun. We then get Santos and Escobar in the back. He's berating Los Garzas. Then Andrade walks in, saying, it's okay. I know you don't care about them. You only care about your legacy. Santos replies, you don't have respect or order. So Santos walks off. Angel Garza follows him. Berto is about to. Andrade stops him. Just points to his temple. Santos comes back. He says, he kind of yells to Humberto, follow, come. And he follows along. I don't know what Andrade is planning. If it is a Legado del Fantasma, LFI stable in WWE, I think that could be fun. But now it is time for our main event, and it's a tag team match, playa. As Jade Cargill and Tiffany Stratton take on Nia Jax and Naomi. And as the babyface make the entrance, they beeline it to their main rivals, and they just start brawling. With Naomi and Jade starting the match proper. You have Tiffany and Nia brawling on the outside. Eventually, they do make it to the corners, and they just... This definitely feels like a couple of rivals taking on one another, trying to end it. Naomi at one point tags herself in on Nia, who was already did a Samoan drop. Hit the leg drop, but then Naomi and Nia have a little argument as Nia gets out. Naomi attempts the split-legged moonsault, but that misses. Tiffany tags in Jade, who goes on a big old run, including hitting a choke slam, but only getting a 2 because Nia Jax breaks it up. Nia then drags Naomi to her corner, tags in, hits an elbow drop, senton combination, that only gets 2 because Tiffany breaks it up with a swanton, which was crazy. Stratton and Naomi then fight to the outside for a little bit. Nia hits pretty much big splashes on everybody, including Naomi. She goes up for the Annihilator, but Jade counters it, instead hitting a big old powerbomb from the corner for your winners, Jade Cargill and Tiffany Stratton. Jade then looks down, sees the women's WWE title, grabs it, holds it high, puts it on her shoulder for a minute, but then Stratton presents her hand. Jade then starts to hand it over. They get into a little tug of war. Then Naomi comes in, attacks Jade from behind, where she holds the title up high to end SmackDown. SmackDown was a little hot and cold this episode, but I did enjoy what I saw. Was it the best episode of SmackDown ever? No. Was it very entertaining? Absolutely. Although there was that cloud over my head thinking of everyone who just got released. So that did affect my mood a bit on this show. So that'll do it from me for today. I hope you all enjoyed. Coming tomorrow is my predictions for Backlash. And oh boy, you won't want to miss this one. Friday is my review for... I'm going to try to fit in Raw somewhere this week. We'll see. Probably going to also finish up with Power and then Dynamite. And then either Monday or Tuesday, I'm going to review Backlash, which is coming this Saturday. So hopefully you all enjoyed. Till next time, happy wrestling, everybody. Peace.